Hi, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I'm Nicole Boone. Today, my guest is Larry C. Timbs, Jr., author of From the Beak of an Eagle. This is his fourth book, and Larry is an associate professor emeritus of mass communication at Winthrop University, where he taught journalism full-time from 1985 to 2021. Larry says, quote, "This book is my personal take on some of the things that happened to me and that I observed during my 27 years of full-time employment as a faculty member at Winthrop University." If you don't know, Winthrop University is located in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and you'll find Larry's book on Amazon, and I provided the link in the description below. Larry, it's good to see you. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole.
Glad to be here, Nicole.
Well, you retired from Winthrop. You now live in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. And you and I got to meet shortly before I retired back in November 2020, because you were watching me on News 13, saw that I was a Winthrop graduate. I wore my Winthrop basketball shirt today in honor of us. And we had an opportunity to meet, and you were writing this book at the time, From the Beak of an Eagle. And here it is in print now for everyone to read. And I'm excited to talk to you today about it.
It's great. Yeah.
Well, listen, I wanted to read something from the Beak of an Eagle for our audience really quick. On the back, it says, "A peek behind the curtain. Ah, but the juicy stuff they never tell you when you become a college professor. The mystique, the adventure, and misadventure, the romance and excitement. The fascinating twists and turns of life in academia. What really goes on there? What's it like to work behind those ivy-covered walls? From the Beak of an Eagle offers an inside, behind-the-scenes look at life at a much revered university." What inspired you to actually write this? I know it's your fourth book, but this is, as you say, the juicy stuff that not everyone tells.
Well, you know, when you're at a place for 27 years, a lot of things happen, and you see a lot of things, and you meet a lot of people, and you come in contact with a lot of faculty and staff and students and people in the community. And so I just, I had all those experiences, and I was afraid with the passage of time, I would forget them if I didn't write them down. You know, I wanted my perspective on those pages. You know, I want to put the ink on the paper and document some of the things that happened to me that I think would be you know, a broader interest to the community out there. And
Absolutely. Well, so many people, you know, from all over the United States and the world, for that matter, went to Winthrop. They're known for, you know, recruiting international students. You talked about that, and being a Southern school, being well known. And but you know, every school has its ups and downs. And you know, highs and lows. And I like the chapter 2, like a building out of Gone with the Wind. I could visualize that as you talked about that. So share a little bit about that story.
Well, you know, when I went to Winthrop in 1985, you know, I was finishing up in the latter stages of my PhD at the University of Iowa, and I went down for the interview, and flew from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, down to Charlotte, and then to the campus, and I'd never seen it, and you know, I saw Johnson Hall, and that's where the mass comm department. It was called the Department of Communications at that time, and when I looked at it, I just thought it's just dripping or drooping with southernness. You know, it just looked like something, some place that Scarlett O'Hara would live or something.
Yeah.
You know, and Clark Gable, and it was just so beautiful.
When you started with one particular president, ended with one, and you know, kind of how did it evolve? How did it change the way you taught?
Well, the president when I got there was Phil Lader.
Yes.
And I say this in the book. He just, you know, he was only there a year or so after I got there. He was running for governor of South Carolina, and I think he lost the Democratic primary. But he just had an aura about him when you met him on the sidewalk, or I mean, this guy was special, and you just knew he was somebody really special. So he was the first president, and then we had I think, you know, Martha Kahn Piper.
Yeah.
who was, I guess, it had been the only, well, she was the first woman president that we had. Did not know her very well, but she was, I guess the one word that I would say that would sum her up would be feisty. I mean, she was short and she was, she was personable, and I think she got a few things done. She was only there like 2 or 3 years before she got sick, and nobody knew she was sick. I mean, when I found out she died, it was just a top secret. Nobody knew that she was, so, so we lost her. And then I think somewhere in there we had Mike Smith, and I talk about him. He was the acting president before DeGiorgio, but the board does what the board does. It's not necessarily a popular vote about, so they selected Anthony DeGiorgio. And so we had this guy from New Jersey come down, and he was running this Southern school. And so kind of, the rest is history. He stayed for a long, long time, and he got a lot of good things done.
He did.
And they tried to run him off a few times, but he survived. So,
And you talk about how his wife, he has since passed, and his wife was very personable as well. And you say in the book that she would have been a good president, right?
oh yeah, I think everybody loved Gail.
Really, she was very approachable too.
Yeah,
Very approachable,
she
very
would have.
caring.
She would have.
Yeah.
So.
So what's one of the most interesting stories you think that my viewers would want to hear about so that they would go and read more in your book?
Ooh,
Something juicy.
I guess, a couple of them. One was when I came to Winthrop, it seemed like there was a lot of secrecy with money, and I remember when I interviewed, and I say this in the book.
Yes, you do.
Say this in the book, and they're taking me back to the airport after I've interviewed about 10 people.
Right.
That was, and the chair asked me, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "Well, my wife would kind of like to know." She'd call me from Iowa. Kind of like to know what the salary range.
How much money we're going to make, right?
We don't talk about that until we tender a contract. So
wait a minute.
oh, they didn't. They were it was a closed system.
Right.
Not like it is today. And
no, you got to be fully transparent today, but interesting. But I guess some of that has to probably do with just being how people don't talk about salaries, or we don't do this, but you obviously cannot be done today by no means. So
yeah. So I mean, I found that very interesting. A few years, I'm saying that was 85 when I got there. I'm thinking 87, 88, the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act was strengthened,
right.
In large part because of the scandals down at USC involving that president. They had big money problems down there. So everything became a lot more open. And I remember the student newspaper editor at Winthrop came to me and said, I'm thinking about running the salaries here of the top highly paid people. And I said, well, go for it.
I love this story.
So he did. And there was
backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're stirring the pot.
Yeah. What are you trying to do here? Overthrow the plantation, So that was kind of interesting. So that's one thing. And the other story and there are a lot of chapters in the book.
Yeah.
But I took a group of students in an advanced reporting class to an execution.
Oh gosh, yes, that's a great story. Tell that one.
At the state prison in Columbia, and they were executing a serial killer down there by the name of Pee Wee Gaskins, who had killed, I don't know, 10 or 12 people.
So full disclosure, that those murders took place in the area of which I covered for 30 years. So when you were talking about the execution of Pee Wee Gaskins, I fully knew exactly what you were talking about, and all of the backstory to his real evilness. He was a very disturbed fella. Lots of stories there. So I was very intrigued by you taking the students to understand really what it is to understand what execution is. And so I'll let you pick up from there, but I knew of Pee Wee.
It was a memorable night. I remember, so I had to get clearance for all the students to go in,
Yeah.
I had to go through all the bureaucracy, the prison, they wanted to know why we were coming.
Sure.
They wanted phone numbers, full names, all that, and what the purpose of the visit was going to be. And so I got clearance finally, and for all of us, and I think it was about 15 of us. And one thing I do remember is I had a student come to my office. We were about 4 or 5 days from making the trip down to Columbia. And she said to me, Dr. Timbs, my dad would really like to go with us. He's so excited about this. This is the most interesting thing he's ever heard of. And I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to try to go through some more to get somebody else a credential to go. And then she said, well, he has a big brand new air conditioned van and he will take us down there and back. Well, that got my attention.
Sure.
And so,
Because we're always trying to save money when we're in
exactly.
education, right?
So the night that we left, so I got his credentials. The night that we left at Winthrop, I remember the van pulling up in front of Bancroft Hall. That's where he picked us up. And he had a suit and tie on. It was like he was going to a presidential inauguration,
Wow.
So it was a big deal. And
So for people that don't know, executions usually take place at midnight, which is why you're going at night, just so they understand why you were leaving at night.
Yeah. So we went down there, and one thing I say in the book, I had a student that was 9 or 10 months pregnant. I mean, she was very, very pregnant, very big, and when she got down there, she connected. They all had to do stories that night. They had to write stories for me, and she connected with the director of the Department of Corrections. He was there that night, and he took her under his wing, and she got stories that the Associated Press didn't get, or any radio station or TV, nobody else got. So I remember that very clearly. And then the other thing I remember about the night was, after he was executed, all the people outside were singing. Some of them were mourning, but others were singing na 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 na, goodbye.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we're just about out of time. I want to again remind people, From the Beak of an Eagle. You can find it on Amazon. I have your email listed in the description. You'll have a book signing coming up in October. Here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, at the Winthrop Archives on Cherry Road in Rock Hill, and I'll have that in the description as well. But any final thoughts as we wrap things up, and what's next for you? Any more books?
I don't know. I mean, a book is a lot of work, It's
I know.
And I've just been freelancing a little bit for the newspaper around here, and for right now, that's okay. And so I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to tackle another book, but you never say no. I sent the book to my dissertation advisor.
Okay.
And he loved it. He said, Larry, I didn't go to Winthrop and I don't know anything about it, but he said, you really added, some history to the place,
Oh yeah.
So
Well, I love how you walk through the different seasons in South Carolina's history as well, with Hurricane Hugo when it came through, the different presidents, people that you met along the way and how they changed your life and you helped change theirs. So that's what a personal story is all about, your story. And it's a different perspective. And I think in our world today, we should learn to appreciate everyone's perspective and experience, because we all experience different things. If I wrote the book, it would be from just, a student perspective. Yours is from a professor who was there a very long time and a very prestigious career. And I appreciate you writing the book and reaching out to me almost a year ago to say, hey, I was taught at Winthrop and I see you went to Winthrop and I see you're on TV and I see you're retiring, and now we can be
world.
friends.
It's a small world, Nicole.
It sure is. But thanks so much for my signed copy, and I'll share with our viewers. He said, Nikki, from one eagle to another, enjoy Larry. And Larry, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Good luck, and thanks for interviewing me.
Thank you. It was fun.
Okay.
All right. Well, folks, this is going to do it for this edition of Conversations with Nicole. Until we see you again, we hope you have a great day.
See you, Nicole. Take care.